saw that the underground palace was open. He thought that while it was usually correct to follow the system instructions, this seemed like an official warning. Even the location was indicated. Perhaps it was a trap, and after all, there was no training in this game, so why was the warning so detailed? It was very suspicious. He thought it best to return to the campsite first, then assess the situation. In the evening he lit a fire and looked in the direction of the chewing goblin, thinking that if he deduced what was going on, first of all, no information about the secrets of the goblin was obtained today. The mission interface still hadn't disappeared after execution. This must be a long mission, he thought. What if the condition for completing it is the opening of the next mission? Then he saw signs that he was getting points from the players for it and felt happy that the day was productive. Nevertheless, he did not understand the death mechanism in the game, but he gained a lot of experience. But we must remember that the players have long since come back to life in the dungeon, so he wondered why he was gaining experience for it since no one had written anything on the forums for a long time. The dungeon was really problematic, and then suddenly the goblin began to change and transform into a human. He asked for help, saying that he was a man. The player thanked him for not killing him in goblin form, and then Shiwen saw an entry on the tablet saying that the hidden mission was a mutation in the underground palace of faith, but the mission description, objectives, and rewards were unknown. The man thought that it led to the next hidden mission and thought that it was a good thing that he didn't kill him. Shiwen said that he was not grateful, but asked why he became a goblin. The man bowed, introduced himself, and said that his name was Cuter, and that he was an ordinary resident of the underground palace. At first, the underground palace of faith needed to attract brave men from different worlds, but he didn't know when it started, but the bravery stopped coming to them. The sacred fire in the temple also began to diminish, and after it was extinguished for good, many residents turned into ice zombies because they couldn't stop the waves of ice and black mist. Yuan thought that the underground palace was the beginner's village, but he was interested to know what the current situation was. Zombies are not only NPCs but also players. Is there a problem in the game and the developers are not fixing it? The man continued his story by saying that in the beginning not many residents died, but they still had powerful guards in the underground palace who could protect them. However, as the cold wave intensified, the guards also died. They had to open a holy spring in the depths of the castle, but suddenly everyone who drank it turned into goblins. So the underground castle became a sanctuary for zombies and goblins. Some of the goblins escaped. They say that moonlight can remove any curse, and perhaps thanks to that he regained his former appearance while on a rock in the sky. Xuan thought that players who entered the underground palace were very unlucky. No wonder the forum was so deserted. Fortunately, he understood and it didn't work. He asked why the system offends players. It's not normal. It's better to be more careful in the future. Then Cuter asked if he wanted to help them. Everyone regained their previous appearance when he entered the palace and lit the sanctified fire. They would give him an incredible treasure, and in the depths of the tomb were the hidden class scrolls. If he saved his friend, they would give him a Christmas present. However, Chuan still wanted to refuse, but Cuter was unwilling to give in and said that if the scroll was not enough, maybe he would be interested in legendary level equipment. If he accepted the task, Cuter would give him this weapon, the Lost Ring of Thunder. Rarity gold. Physical plus 40, strength plus 40, agility plus 40, courage plus 40. Special effects. This ring comes from the Lord of Thunder. It envelopes the wearer in lightning, causing damage to the underground palace. This ability unleashes lightning at enemies within 500 yards, causing 600 points of damage. Recharge time is 1 second. Looked at this ring with sparkling eyes and thought that it was known that in this game bronze level equipment could gradually lose its value as the player's level increased, but gold equipment retained its value forever. However, Chuan thanked him for his generosity and kindness, but still refused. The underground palace was very dangerous and he didn't dare to go in there. He told him that it was late. He could stay and rest. He could look for another place in the morning, but the man started to turn into some kind of monster and said that if the soldier didn't want to, he wouldn't force him, but just bring his corpse there and jump on him to attack. But Juan managed to react and plunged his sword into her body. The man was shocked, and the man said the task was somehow unusual, and it was already suspicious. Besides, he didn't hesitate and used scarcity to lure her into the underground palace. Anyone in their right mind would feel cheated, and I asked who he was and why he came here. The evil Goblin said everyone deserves to die. The souls of the other world should be food for the gods, and he fell to the ground for killing the mutated residents of the underground palace. He received experience points and was given equipment with the armor of the underground palace guards and also a sheepskin card, and in the end he received that special item, the Lost Ring of Thunder. He happily said that the game really didn't follow the rules because killing the Crusaders and PS you can get a lot of useful things, and he also increased the level of his family. The reserve of the dungeon palace guards was made of 2003 plus silver protection, plus 500 taking the map of the dungeon palace. He began to study and said that after all there was nothing more to do today and decided to take a break. Usually in the future we need to pay more attention to the system warnings and what the NPCs say. The next morning, he found that the number of survivors was 160.307 people. Shun said that after game's open beta test, there are about 500 to 600 million players, and now there are about 100,000 survivors on the blackboard. It is written that rewards are given to survivors, and 7 players need to go to the safe zone in the central square. Thought that although it could be a trap, again she still didn't have enough information. There she could see other survivors. Maybe she could get information or understand the situation. The central square of the safe zone seemed strange to her, as there was a strange feeling when she opened the system and saw so many players gathered in one place. That must be the number of the safe zone, which was 1,000 people. There must be a location here. In the same way, a girl next to a big man said that she didn't expect to see young people here. Another man asked what family she was from. She thought that she wasn't the heir of an important family because the people from the big family didn't even look at her. She thought that all the fools had already entered the underground palace yesterday, but it seemed that not everyone had given up. A sign appeared in front of them saying that the safe zone for beginners was 1,000 people and the number of survivors was 200, and in the end there was a request to kill the opponent as soon as possible. At first the players didn't understand whether they should kill each other, but they soon began to attack each other. Shuan thought that originally they put about 100,000 people in the safe zone and now only 20 people could survive. The first mission was meant to uncover people. The girl told him not to be surprised and attacked him with a sword, but Juan managed to parry the attack. The girl just asked if they were trying and would see what would happen. Dan asked where such a handsome man came from, but Juan said he didn't want to tell him. The girl said that he was very dangerous in this game and found him pathetic and asked if he wanted to join her. To her question and only her answer, the girl replied that her brother would also be part of this game. His name was Jen. The man thought that although he had confidence in his abilities, in the end he was alone. There are very few ways to get information here, so it would be very useful if you cooperated with others. When he said his name, the girl asked in surprise if he was Yu Chuan from Shanghai, and the man asked him how he knew him. And the girl replied that ordinary people might not know, but unless someone from a big family didn't know. Lin's family, with an income of tens of billions, having an only daughter who wasn't married to him, he refused the blessings that were inaccessible to others and praised him for being so fearless. Shua felt uncomfortable and said that there was no need to mention the past. The girl thought that she deserved to be honored by King Chu in pajamas, that the brother and sister were unusual people. There were 200 people left in the game, and there were definitely more big family heirs among the survivors. And then a sign appeared that since no one had been killed for a long time, this system automatically eliminated the person with the lowest total strength. The countdown was 20 minutes and then one of the players was eliminated from the game. Seeing that everyone was still fighting, Shuan chewed and flew away from the girl. For a few meters, the girl asked for some annoyance why he suddenly ran so far away, and if he thought she would do the same to him. It's about her. And when the girls wanted to attack the players, her brother defended her by defeating the players at once. And you thought that with the blessing of so many skills, talents, and equipment, his attack power is now close to 610 points, and the guy named Wuji has an attack power of at least 500 or so. Suddenly the native player wanted to attack Chuan, but he was caught by Chuan and killed with one of his own attacks. He said that he would save her two human forces. Why should they help him? He still didn't agree to join them. The girl smiled and said that it was unnecessary. They should only be interested. Not everyone gave up hundreds of billions of dollars. When there were 20 people left and the remaining players were congratulated for passing the test and proving their strength. It was time to choose their path. Xuan thought that the page seemed to be over and they asked what the system would do now. Players must choose a hidden class. No matter what game they play, their class is always important. Hidden classes are very valuable in the complete world because of the features of the complete world. Players who get the hidden class will be promoted in the game and their real life will also change drastically. Two players fought each other all along, and a rough-looking man named Gumo will now receive a hidden class. Next, a rider in black armor appeared, and the player entered his body. His panther animal welcomes him back into the darkness. His hidden class is the Dark Knight. Special abilities include immunity to dark magic and for companions. His main characteristics will increase at each level, receiving 10 additional points. The girls said that from that day on, everything would be different for the Gu family. Furthermore, the second hidden class had been determined Lightning Giant. The special ability after becoming a Lightning Giant was to gain immunity to lightning magic and receive blessings from the power of the lightning spirit. Its strength and physical characteristics are doubled, causing lightning damage when attacking. Its damage is reduced by 30%, and its attack power is increased by 30%. Chuan wanted to go there to fight and win, and then the giant fell on the man, and he felt a very strong pain. Chuan thought that it seemed that in order to obtain the hidden class it was necessary to fight not only with other players but also to feel inhuman pain. Then a purple mist began to thicken in the sky. That class is the Lord of the Dead, and that class is immortal. The player's special ability was to become immortal, immune to all the magic of the dead, and he would be the only undead on the continent. So almost all players started fighting to get into this class, and they started killing each other. The winner was a man named Y, and a reward was determined for him. And then the man's skin began to melt, and he fell to the ground. Another hidden class was the Mixed Fairy. Special ability. The player has 2 lives and 2 corresponding special elements. He is immune to both light and dark elements. He will learn mixed magic, which has special effects. The backlash reduction of his skills is reduced by half. There is only the last class left, and the girl thought that everyone must be trying to get it, and it was necessary to take a chance. The girl's older brother asked why Chuan didn't try, and she replied that she didn't need to. She didn't like being a magician. Besides, there would definitely be other opportunities to obtain magical classes in the future. So he thought, to be honest, this hidden class seemed strange to him. It seemed that those who had received the hidden class were not very sane, as if they were possessed by a strange spirit. Perhaps that was one of the traps of this system. Chuan had decided that although it was better to improve skills and talents, it would be no worse than the hidden class. So there was no need to fight just yet. The girl make one then appeared a sign asking everyone to go to the underground lobby at the hidden class awakening point. They can choose 2 companions, and those companions get the same special class as her but can't betray or injure her. When he has injured his companion's life, points will be sacrificed. Those who were reborn were surprised to have the opportunity to obtain a special class. One of them asked if the owner didn't die, then it was fine if they sacrificed their own health. Lord of Death Winding stood in front of those reborn and didn't know who to choose as his servant. Then his friend approached him and said to choose him since they were friends, but he ignored the request and chose 2 people who were much better dressed than them. His friend asked why he didn't choose him, and he replied that it was because he wasn't worthy. The same person in despair got up from the floor and said that he had no regrets because his friend wouldn't do that. Chuan looked at them, and I think that 2 people who have chosen to lament as the heir of a large family have appeared on television before abandoning a friend for the future. Is it typical of lamentation, or is the hidden class really absorbing players, as Chuan thought? He asked his friend in this Lenin what his name was. He introduced himself, saying his name was Junk by Sean, extended his hand to him saying that he could go with him. The crying man thanks him, saying that he will try hard. Chuan turns to you and asks if he wants to go with them. He politely declines. Those who are reborn say that it's faster to go to the underground palace. Maybe they'll get something too. Chuan thought that the players went down to the underground palace again and wondered what the system was planning this time. By the way, I remember that she received a map of the underground palace, but then she was very surprised that the map showed that this was not the entrance to the underground palace. But if this is not the entrance, where is this movement headed? Judging from the fact that everything affected the underground palace, if he wanted to know the answer, he had to go there. But the entrance was very suspicious, and he decided it was better to leave and find the entrance shown on the map and go there. He approached the two boulders, but he saw that there was no entrance there, but it was still marked as the underground palace. And then the dragon hunting technique skill was activated. He said that since the skill was activated, there must be a treasure somewhere, and added that there was no need to specifically look for the gate that opened the entrance so conveniently. These two stones moved to different sides, opening the entrance to the underworld. In the complete world there are no stars and no sun, so it must be the moon that he sees. Then Huda said that the moon removes curses, but Juan didn't know if it was true or not. By the way, even the history of the underground palace is written with faith, and I wonder how big this game is. As he descends, he sees some paintings on the wall, and then he got to the big door when he entered and saw a city that looked like a Greek architectural memorial. He was very surprised because it was a surprise. The underground palace of belief was a city that, although it was in ruins, you could still feel the greatness of the past. The map showed that this was the main city of the underground confidence palace, which occupied almost half of the entire territory. However, the Temple of Courage was still far away, and he thought he might find something. Suddenly he heard a sound, and as he turned around he saw someone attacking him. It was a huge ice monster holding a huge sword in its hand. He activated Kiran's skill in his hand and hit the monster's head with a ball. The man wondered if this meant Kelda was telling the truth. The underground palace was divided into two factions, goblins and ice zombies. It could be that those zombies were the ones Chuan had asked about the origin of. He wondered what was going on here, and if all the zombies were gathered here. Some of the zombies seemed like strange players. They usually attacked indiscriminately, but why weren't they attacking him? And then all the zombies started waking up somewhere, and Chuan followed them to the ice zombies were heading towards the temple. The man asked what the ice zombies were doing inside the temple. When they got to the temple, Chuan was surprised that the temple was the underground palace of faith. He thought there must be a clue to what he was looking for. Then some people came out of the temple to kill the zombies. Seeing them, Chuan asked if they had changed classes, and the temple was the place where they changed classes. The laughing zombies said that the zombie class was so strong it wasn't hard to die once or twice. It seems like he made the right choice, because zombies are much more interesting than archers and swordsmen. A sign about ice zombies appeared in front of Chuan. His unique special ability was that his attack and movement speed were reduced by 50%, and he would not die due to special circumstances. His basic characteristics improved by killing many Toyota players, giving him a lot of experience points. When he finds the underground holy spring, he will be paralyzed, and it will be easier to kill him. Thought that changing classes to become a zombie was unimaginable. Doesn't that passive ability divide players into two camps? The players who left the temple started using the holy fountain, and it killed almost all the zombies. Chuan came out in front of them, and one of the players stabbed him with a sword and asked who he was. He raised his hand and said that he used to be just the passing player. He asked how he got there. Our main character replied that he spent one more night there and ended up accidentally going down another corridor. On top of that, he had also just seen their abilities and asked if they switched classes. The player replied that after all players who entered the underground palace had completely gone through the class transition. Well, if there were a lot of people who switched classes and became zombies, it was completely unacceptable. And he added that if he was normal, he could go with them to change classes in